Hello, I'm Steve Tolliday and I'm going to show you how to use correct technique when bending down and lifting things off the floor so you can avoid hurting your back. And I'll also give a couple of tips on how to strengthen your core, which ultimately helps with back pain and stuff like that. Okay, so when we bend down, we put a lot of pressure on our spines. The most important thing of all really is keeping your back nice and straight. Okay, you've got a natural curve in your spine and you want to try and keep that. You definitely don't want to be rounding your back, hunched over. Now, this is definitely one of the worst things you can do if you're trying to avoid a back injury. So let's start off with picking something off the floor using two hands, both feet on the floor. First thing you want to do is make sure your feet are quite wide apart. The further apart your feet are, the less pressure on your lower back. Having your feet further apart will put a bit more pressure on your hips. So if you do have hip problems, you want to try and find that balance. But have your feet as wide apart as possible. Okay, take a nice deep breath. This is going to provide a cushion of air for your spine. You also want to make sure that the object is as close to your body as possible. The further away it is from your body, the more pressure it's going to put on your back. You want to keep your abs nice and tight. So when you bend down, you want to take your hips back, grab your object, just breathe out on your way up. Okay, and then you want to drive your hips forward. Okay, using your glutes and your hamstrings, your quads a little bit. Now, if you do suffer with a lot of back pain, another thing I would do is you want to try and grip the floor with your feet, especially if it's a heavy object that you're picking up. So you're kind of externally rotating your hips to put your feet in, and you're kind of gripping the floor, if that makes sense. So as your feet are on the floor like that, just kind of turn them out, your feet outwards. Okay, you're externally rotating your hips. You just grip the floor. That provides a bit more support for your back. You keep your shoulders back, squeeze your back muscles, engage your ab muscles for extra support as well. Now, if you're picking something off the floor with one hand and one leg, toys and soiled underwear, stuff like that. This time you're going to do, rather than doing like a squat, you're going to do like a single leg deadlift basically. Okay, so obviously you can balance yourself by holding onto something, a wall or a chair. Nice deep breath again at the top. Remember that cushion of air for your spine. Okay, and you're just going to hinge at the hips. So you keep your knees slightly bent, keeping your back straight, lower yourself down, and you pick the object up. Again, breathe out, keep your abs nice and tight, raise yourself back up again. When you're doing these movements, concentrate on your glutes when you're doing it, rather than your back and your knees. Okay, that's it. That's the area you want to focus on. That's where you want to feel it really. You want to feel a bit of a stretch in your hamstrings as well. Practice this every time you want to bend down and lift something up. It will get easier over time. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and eventually you won't even be thinking about trying to use the correct technique. You'll probably just do it automatically. Now, one of the ways in which we can reduce back injuries is by strengthening our core. So just in case you don't know what your core is, it's basically like a cylinder shape around your midsection. You've got your diaphragm at the top, pelvic floor muscles at the bottom, you've got your abs, you've got your obliques, the side here, you've got your transverse abdominis on your inside, sort of muscle fibers run horizontally, and you've got your spinal erector muscles, multifidus muscles in your back. All these work together to stabilise our bodies and our spines. Now, having poor posture can be a sign of a weak core. So if you've got really poor posture, and you do suffer with backache, then there's a good chance you got a weak core. So maybe put a bit more effort into strengthening your core up. Here's a couple of things you can do to increase your core strength. You want to be doing what are called isotonic exercises. That's basically where your muscle fibers are lengthening and shortening under load. So that would be like, you could be doing like crunches, leg raises, sit-ups. And for core stability, you're going to be using things like isometric exercises, where your muscles aren't lengthening or shortening under load. So you're just holding yourself in position like planks, dead bugs. Both types of training will increase your strength and stability anyway, but one's more specific than the other. You don't need to go mad doing all these exercises, loads and loads of sets. Okay, you could just do one of each, one core strength exercise, one core stability exercise. Just do 3 sets a couple of times a week to see how you go with that. If you find you're getting sharp pains in your back when you're bending down, lifting things, it's a good chance you might have a herniated disc. So you could probably go to a GP or a physio, get that checked out. Okay, hope this video has helped. If it has, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.